So, hello everybody. Today I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a very long time, not since I introduced the cipher system on this channel a couple of years ago. In recent months, due to events outside of our control, lots of people have been thinking about switching role-playing systems and moving away from one system for obvious reasons, and then trying out other systems. Now, one of the things that people have kind of brought up a lot is, how do I convince my group to switch? And that, of course, can be quite difficult, especially if you have existing characters or an existing character concept. And I think all of us have kind of like this idea of what they enjoy playing. And of course, a lot of this is determined by the systems we have been playing, because not everything is available in every system. Some systems have very, very many races, very, very many ancestries, feats and whatnot. And some are quite bare bones. So, for example, Shadow Dark in the starter set, and I believe also in the final version, has mainly 4 classes. There are additional classes that you can get if you buy the magazines that have been released, but it comes with only 4. And Fantasy Age, that we're looking at the moment, and which I'm going to use for today's session, also doesn't have more than, in its current, and this is the first edition, we're still waiting for the second edition. Green Ronines, if you're listening, we're waiting. February has come and gone, so we're still waiting for the release of the second edition. But it used to have 3 character classes, as it were, but it's going to have 4 in the second edition. And of course, with regard to races, that is something that is kind of not necessarily system inherent, but it's more world inherent, because you could have a world where you basically have elves, but they're not a playable race, for example, or where you have no dragon kind because there are no dragons, or where you say, well, there are no humans, but it's a completely non-human world. So again, that is not so much necessarily system inherent, but more game world inherent. And here, of course, the question is, would a system allow you to create new races? So what we're going to do is we are going to take at least 1, maybe 2, depending on how much time this takes, of my existing characters from a D&D game and from a Midgard game, and we are going to try and transfer them into Fantasy Age. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this to see, can we actually recreate a beloved character concept in this system? Because quite often when you tell players, oh, we're going to try a new system, or we're going to switch, they will be like, oh, but I mean, I really love Thug. Or I really love Esmeralda. Yeah. And we will finish them in the current campaign. But then the question is, will the new system allow for as much diversity and character building as the current one? And so, first of all, we're going to start out with a human life cleric. So we have race human. The idea is that it's a cleric that focuses on healing. Now, in D&D, clerics are not only focusing on divine magic, but they're also pretty good fighters. So let's see if we can combine it. In Fantasy Age, we've got 9 core abilities: accuracy, communication, constitution, dexterity, fighting, intelligence, perception, strength, and willpower. And the way this works is you roll 3d6 9 times, and you can then assign those. This is how we're going to do it, because we've got a character concept already in mind, so we will not go with a free flow. We will just take them from A to W, and whichever we get, we will assign them in order, but we will have to actually be less random, because otherwise it's going to be really impossible to come up with a good cleric, because that's also how I did it in D&D. I knew I wanted to build a cleric, so I went with a cleric as a template, and what kind of information and what kind of stats would they need. So let's pull up Roll20, and we're going to roll 3d6. Let's see, do we have... Yeah. So we're going to take 3d6. And the first roll is a 16. That's really good. So we're just going to write down 16. We're going to roll again. That's a 7. $12. 11. 9. That's just an average roll, actually. That's a 14. So we've got one below average, one average, and then the rest are above average so far, and we need 3 more. That's another 7 below average. That's an 11. And then we've got a 14. So those are all okay rolls. I mean, some of them are really good. We haven't got anything in the absolutely highest echelon of 18. But we also don't have a 3. So let's switch over to the rulebook. And this is the PDF. I also own the hardcover. So now what we need to do is we need to determine the abilities. Now, when we look at how they work, accuracy governs things like arcane blast, bows, black powder, brawling, dueling, grenades, light blades, staves. Communication is animal handling, bargaining, deception, disguise, etiquette, gambling, investigation, that kind of thing. Leadership, performance. So if you were to play a bard, communication might be a very good focus. Might be a very good area to put your stuff in. Constitution, dexterity, acrobatics, that kind of thing. Calligraphy, crafting, initiative, légère de main. I've got to check out what this means. I've never seen this word before. Fighting, of course, axes, bludgeons, that kind of thing. So basically a cleric would need fighting because that's their secondary ability. Intelligence would be arcane law, brewing, cultural law, perception, empathy, hearing, searching. Strength focuses climbing, driving. Willpower focuses courage, faith, morale, self-discipline. So now we need to look into the race thing. So what we have is we're going to play a human. As a human, we get +1 to fighting. So we're going to write this down immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little table for all of my stats. And then we're going to say base. Then we're going to say add race. So we're going to get a +1 because we are human to this. Pick one of the following ability focuses. We can read and speak the common tongue. We're going to write this down. And we can get dexterity, riding, or swimming. So we're going to take riding because my cleric doesn't swim. Roll twice on the human benefits table. So we're going to do this. We're going to roll 2d6. That's an 8. So we get +1 constitution. That's not too shabby. And then we're going to roll again. +2. +1 intelligence. That's not so bad. So that's actually quite good. So, and because we managed to actually get pluses on our core abilities rather than focuses, because focuses can be a bit problematic because, I mean, you know, and this is also where, in this case, I actually did the rolling, but I think if this was a real life example where I'm trying to bring my group into the system, I would actually say choose two that fit your concept for your character. So now, in this particular case, my social class is lower class. Let's see if there is actually an overview. Actually, it doesn't work. So she would be a hermit because that's what she is in D&D. So she gets... so we could choose Constitution, Stamina. We have to write this down because we have to see what this actually means, stamina or willpower, self-discipline. And you may be wondering, why haven't I assigned my stats yet? Because I still need to understand what it takes to be a cleric. Class description. So we've got the mage. Now, the main thing is that the mage is both divine and arcane. And you can see that their primary abilities are intelligence, perception, willpower, and accuracy. So it says here, the mage class can thus equally represent sorcerers who derive power from the world's mana, priests who channel the power of the gods, or even psychics who harness the power of the mind. Your GM will let you know the specifics of magic in the campaign. So, the basic thing is that they have Arcane Blast. If you are holding your arcane device, you can make a special ranged attack that damages foes with a blast of magical energy. This is resolved like a normal ranged attack, so stunts are possible, but the attack roll is an accuracy test. An arcane blast has a range of 16 yards and inflicts 1d6 willpower. So here is where it's getting difficult because and this is where now the system becomes a lot more intricate because we've got this arcane blast, which we're going to write down, and we will have to see how we do this arcane blast. We have an arcane device. So that would be your holy symbol. And we have magic training. And we have magic points. So this is not a Vancian system, magic points. And they are your willpower plus 10 plus 1d6. So what we have already found out is willpower is important because that's where we derive our power from. We also have a +1 in fighting. Fighting is also quite important for a cleric. Or the clerics I like to play because otherwise it's actually going to be quite boring if you just heal people. So and we're going to say accuracy is a primary power, as is intelligence, or primary ability, as they say, perception as well, and willpower. And the secondary ones are communication, constitution, dex, fighting, and strength. Now we get a +1 to constitution, we get a +1 to fighting anyway, and we have a +1 to intelligence. So that's super cool anyway. So we have very good starting conditions, as it were. And I believe constitution governs your health points. This is the one thing that I will say about this rule book. It's a bit annoying that you don't have kind of like a full list that tells you what each of these governs. So basically constitution, it doesn't say here, it gives you an example about of the focuses, but it doesn't tell you what the abilities actually do. And that's when you look at health. So we need to go to the starting health, because that's in each of the classes, which I find weird. Starting health is 20 plus constitution plus 1d6. So, so now we need to go to chapter 3, character options, because we either get linguistics or chirurgy or lore. You can treat wounds and illnesses. Novice. You have trained in the art of chirurgy and your aid is swift and sure. Heal is a minor action for you. Okay. That would make sense for a healer. So we are going to take... Are we a novice in this, actually? Novice. Okay, so we're going to be a novice in chirurgy. That's fine. And it's intelligence healing. So I guess we get this focus for free, otherwise we cannot use it. Um, it says here, focuses grants a flat +2 bonus to one's ability test. So it's like proficiency in D&D. For more powerful characters, that measure of focus is not always enough to win the day or to set your character apart from others with similar training. Therefore, at higher levels, characters can take a focus for a second time to further improve the bonus on these rolls. Okay, you still must always select a focus for a primary ability on even-numbered levels and a focus, okay. Your character has areas of natural aptitude or specialized. Unless you have the specified requirements. So I suppose that since I need to have intelligence healing focus, I give this to myself now, because otherwise I cannot have this chirurgy. This is a bit unclear. I don't know if it says so anywhere else in the rules, but this is how this would work. So now it's time to actually assign the stats, and I will go with 14 for intelligence, because I get a +1 anyway, because that's what we had. Then I'm going to give myself a 16 in accuracy. And I'm going to give myself a 12 in fight, because I get a +1 anyway. Then I have a 14 for willpower. Because that's where I get my magic from. Then I put 11 in perception. Seven in communication, 9 in strength, and 11 in dex. Sorry, where did I put my constitution? No, 11 in constitution and 7 in dex. No, we're going to put a 7 in strength and a 9 in dex. Yeah. Okay. So then we have 16 for accuracy, communication is 7, constitution is 12, dex is 9, fighting is 13, intelligence is 15, perception is 11, strength is 7, and willpower is 14. So now we determine the magic points that she has. So she has 24 plus 1d6. Well, 24 plus 1d6 is 26. And her Her health is 32 plus 1d6. And a 1. So that's 33 health points. Okay. So this is done and this is done. Now we need to decide, does she get a constitution, stamina, or willpower, self-discipline focus? Enduring fatigue, disease, and privation. Or we can get self-discipline. Self-discipline, focusing your mental energy or controlling your impulses and emotions. We're going to take that. We're going to take willpower, self-discipline, and we have intelligence, healing, because we need this, otherwise we can't do the journeyman and chirurgy. Okay. So now let's see if we've forgotten anything. We've done the class selection. Now we need to look at we calculate defense. Okay, first of all, we need to look at the class again, what kind of a weapon we get. We get brawling and staves. That is an accuracy focus. Brawling. And then we need staves. Oh, that's also accuracy. Accuracy staves. Okay. So let's see. Weapons group. Fist and Gauntlet in the brawling. That's seriously not her. Then we've got the Staves group, and that is a club. A morning, yeah, that's where we are. A Morning Star. That's exactly what she has. A Morning Star 1d6 plus 3. Minimum strength 1. Let's see if she's got this. She's got a 7. She's got 0, so she would need a 9. So now we would need to switch. And now we're going to go from dexterity to strength, because she really needs this signature weapon. So that's where you basically, if I was doing this with my group, this is where I would also say, okay, now you can again switch one more time to ensure that you can use your weapon. So she's got strength 9, which is a 1, which is enough for her to wield a Morning Star. So she gets a Morning Star. And now for the spells. Because she has Arcane Blast, which is a minor action. That's like a, not like a cantrip, but, oh, well, kind of, sort of. No, cantrips are actually normal actions. Okay, now we go to Arcana and spells. Magic. So we have different types of Arcana: Earth, Divination, Air, Fate, Fire, Healing. So Healing would be the one to go for, actually. And it's an intelligence focus. Okay. So and your roll is 3d6 plus int plus the focus. I believe that this is probably Constitution modifier, not Constitution per se. So it would be, so the hit points would be 20 plus my Constitution modifier plus whatever. So that would have been, I rolled a 1. So that would be 21 plus my con modifier and not my actual Constitution, because otherwise I would have very high hit points. So Constitution at a 12 is a +2, so it would be 23, and the magic points would be willpower, where I've got 14, and 14 is a 2 as well. So it would be 12 plus 1d6. That was a 2. So it would be 14. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. So now let's take a look at the magic that we can get. healing arcana. And this is your spell DC 10 plus your willpower plus arcana focus. So in my case, they would be rolling against a 12 plus my arcana focus. And let's look at the healing. Most people will actually not want to You learn the spells Healing Touch and Revival. Okay, but it says I've got 4 spells, including Arcane Blast. So if I can only get 2 from as a novice, does this mean I get a second Arcana? I'm unsure. So I definitely get Healing Touch. So I've got Healing and Intelligence Healing. Novice, which means I get Healing Touch. And Revival. Now, let's take a look at the mage again. Oh no, I get 4 plus the Arcane Blast. That's a power. Oh, you begin with 2 magic talents and 4 spells. Okay. Magic talents. Okay. So we get 2 magic talents. So we've got the intelligence healing one. And let's take a look at the other ones. She would go with Fire Arcana. And there we get Arcane Lantern. And we get Flame Blast. So that makes sense. Interestingly enough, of course, seeing as you're a mage, and in this system, mages cannot wear armor, so you would not be quite like a cleric that because they can wear full armor if they are strong enough. But I think it comes pretty close in that you do have the accuracy. You can either have the you get the brawling and the staves. So you can get some stuff done. So I'm pretty happy about this. And I believe that this is a fairly good representation of my D&D cleric. Of course, this would be level 1. She's now level 6, so she is much more advanced. But I think that it makes sense for her to follow this. And one could actually port her over into this system. So I hope you found this interesting, because this is actually one way of telling people or showing people how to use a different system. In my opinion, the easiest way is to say, well, what's your most favorite character that you're playing at the moment? Let's see, can we recreate it? That's how you can pitch such a new system. So this was porting a D&D character into, and a cleric no less, into Fantasy Age, the basic rulebook, first edition. Second edition will be different, but from what I have read on the Green Ronin website, it'll allow for more customization even, and there's going to be a 4th class. So it should be even easier and broader to bring in other characters. So Fantasy Age, Green Ronin, it's an insta buy from my point of view, and it is not a problem to transport your D&D characters into this system. Talk to you soon. Bye.